Good morning. Today I'm going to try to create a little bit of a magical adventure with Dungeon Crawl Classics because I want to use the magic system. So we have a warrior and a wizard. Now the warrior is the star of our last year's adventures in our group. This was my character Herringbone Tweed, and I'm going to use him for this adventure. He's been through a lot. Yeah, so now he's got a new companion here. I went onto Purple Sorcerer website, and you can create characters quite easily by saying what character class you want, what level you want, and a few other little things you can choose if you want to, and then it just creates a random character for you. So I'm going to use this character as my wizard, just over there. And if you're wondering about this, I got this with the 4th issue of Mortal Realms, which I was definitely not going to buy until I saw the size of this battle mat, so I ended up getting it. Now, the tricky thing with these videos, I never know how the story's going to go, so if it goes really badly, I'm going to scrap the video, as usual, and if it goes alright, well, we'll see how we end up. Now let's see where the story cubes might take us. And we don't get the germs. I'm really pleased. So let's have a look at these symbols then. So we've got an egg, somebody giving an order, looking a bit cross, an amulet, some food, sunrise or sunset, a temple, a treasure map or map, telescope, and a submarine. So perhaps our wizard has been ordered by his tutor to go to this temple and find a magical amulet before sunset. But somehow they're going to have to look for the amulet inside a creature's egg. Somehow it's inside an egg, and they're going to have to swim underwater to get to it, or find some underwater passage to get to the place where the egg is. So they have to go to a temple to find a missing amulet before sundown that is hidden in a creature's egg, and they've got to go underwater to get to it. Sounds okay? Now I'm planning to take the monsters from a book called The Hounds of Halthrag Keep, which is a solo Dungeon Crawl Classics adventure, and when I get the hard copy I will do a proper video on that when I've played it a few times, and I'll let you know how it works. But for now I'm going to be using the monsters because I printed off the bestiary. So I think we're going to need an encounter on our way to this temple, the Temple of Ferocious Fire. That'll do. So we're on our way to the Temple of Ferocious Fire, and we're going to have a road encounter. That is 91. I noticed in one of my recent videos I read the I think it was the Shonen one. I read one of the percentages the wrong way round, but it didn't matter. So we've got 91. Let's have a look. The night landscape is filled with lovely will-o'-the-wisps that, if followed, will attempt to lead the characters away from danger. It's not night, so 76. The characters stumble across a field of edible berry bushes. Okay, we will pick some of the berries because they are edible, and we'll put them in our rucksack for later and eat them. Right, we've gone through that encounter, such as it was, and we find our way to the temple. Now, are there any peculiarities about this dungeon? 36. Earthquakes. I don't like the sound of that. It doesn't make any sense. This makes more sense. A river or lake flows through the lowest levels of this dungeon. Some rooms are slowly filling with water, which sort of fits into our story. So there are flooded bits which we've got to be careful of. Now, as we enter this temple, I think we're going to need an encounter. So let's have a look. 87. The characters hear thunder and lightning coming from ahead. Wind and rain buffet the characters. Two elementals of water and air have broken free from their cages and are flying frantically around the room, crashing into walls and whipping up a hurricane-force storm. So as we approach the entrance to the temple, we can see inside that there are a couple of elemental forces causing horrendous hurricane conditions. Okay, this is our situation. We have to find our way across this room while avoiding these two powerful forces. And I wonder if our wizard has anything useful, whether force manipulation might be able to help. It might be worth a try. So the caster conjures and shapes invisible force energy into useful objects or barriers of a solid nature. On a successful casting, the wizard may choose to invoke any effect of equal to or less than his spell check, allowing a range of options with every successful casting to produce a weaker but potentially more useful result. There may be rubble lying around which we can use. The range is 25 feet, so something, yes, anything around here, the early part of the room. Now he's going to cast that spell. I will roll 1d4 for the manifestation to see what the spell comes out like. I'm not using the Dungeon Crawl Classics d4 because I will find it hard to figure out which one it is when I need it. So roll for the manifestation, and that is a 1. The caster's hands shimmer and the air hums with power. Awesome. Now, in Dungeon Crawl Classics, you can use something called spell burn, which means reducing one of your stats by a point or more and adding that to your die roll. But you reduce the stat first before you make the die roll, so you could still roll a 1 or something awful and you've still damaged yourself and still failed in casting the spell. Now, if we look here, anything between 1 and 11 is a failure. 12 plus is our first level of success here. 14 to 17 is a platform for energy, which we don't really need. It's like floating disc, isn't it? Whereas 18 plus would be a tower, shield sized wall of force. What we'd really like, we can hurl this as a weapon. We might be able to create enough of a gap if we hit the elementals with this to make a way through. But we need between 12 and 13. Or we could create a shield wall. That could let us through. Let's see what happens. With 12 plus, we could work something. We add our caster level, which is 2 for this character. He's level 2 wizard. We'll try that. Okay, we roll the die and add 2. I'm going to use some spell burn, I think. He is a shaman, so he's he might be more into that kind of thing. I'm going to drop 2 stamina points. I'm going to use up 2 stamina to add 2 more to my roll, so I get caster level +2 and 2 from my stamina, so that's +4 total. So adding 4, 6. Lost failure. So that spell, we've lost that spell now, and it has failed. So I'll just put a cross through that for the moment. Yeah, we've got to find another way across. What I'm going to do is, first of all, both the characters are going to take an agility check to try and dash between the elementals, and then they're going to take a strength check to avoid, let's say, D4 damage from the wind and any bits of rubble that have been thrown about by the wind and water. So I'm going to use a sort of standard difficulty check of 10, I think. I think 10 is the sort of a normal person would find this task difficult. So I'm going to go with that. I'll go with a DC of 10 with agility. He has -1 to his agility. So let's see how we get on. Yeah, he fails that. Meanwhile, Herringbone Tweed has an agility of 9. He gets no bonus either way. So he's aiming for a 10 or more. And he gets a 1. He fumbles spectacularly. So they're still sort of stuck here, but now they're going to have to try and avoid being damaged by the lashing rubble. So this guy gets a +2 to his strength because he's actually a very strong wizard. So I'm going to give it 10 again. +2. 11. He manages to avoid being damaged. And Herringbone gets +1 to his strength, going for a 10. And he fails. He will take D4 damage. And that's a 1. So I'm going to try to get through again. I guess Herringbone should go first because his agility is higher, so aiming for a 10. 9. Okay, and Pibble Torres, our wizard, 9, and he has -1, so that's an 8, so they're still stuck here. He manages to avoid any damage, and Torres, he also, with his modified +2 on that, also manages to avoid any damage, but we're still stuck. We're going to try again. One more go, then we'll do something else. 12. Herringbone, whoops, is through. He manages to sneak between the 2 elementals. And Pimple Torres, come on. He's still sort of stuck. They're both going to check for damage. Herringbone gets +1. 11 +1 is 12. That's better than the 10 they need. And Pimble gets +2. He fumbles. He will get double damage, let's say, with a fumble. 3. I'm not going to give him double damage because he's a wizard. Losing 3 is enough. That's bad enough. Let's not end the adventure here, okay? I thought of a better idea. Pimble has spider climb. Now that's going to be fun, isn't it? He may do a bit more spellburn for that. He will knock down his... I think he's going to... Personality. Let's not too off that. Okay, he's getting +4. I'll call it a 10, 10 again. No, I won't, sorry. It's magic, isn't it? +4, 18. Now, what is 18 for spider climb? The caster gains the actual climbing ability of a spider as long as his hands and feet are bare. He can hang upside down, climb completely vertical surfaces with no handholds, move across spider webs, and even scurry along upside down at obtuse angles. The caster moves at his normal speed and need never make climb checks. He is immune to spiderweb spells. The caster's hands and feet must remain bare, and items weighing less than 5 pounds stick to his hands during this time, making spellcasting impossible for the duration. So, wow, there's a crazy picture. That's a more extreme result, I think. But he will take up his shoes and climb up the wall around all this nonsense. Excellent. Now that's magic for you. Now we have a situation in this next chamber. There is a Krokodilith, which I've taken from the bestiary of the Hounds of whatever it was. And not terribly tough monster, but its bite causes a rotting, wasting disease in the flesh of victims, so we'd rather not be hit by it. It is guarding this stretch of water here, which leads to the underwater tunnel leading to where the eggs are. So, what our characters are going to do, Herringbone is going to get out his short bow, and he's going to try and take a pot shot at it when it surfaces. Right, the Krokodilith's armour class is 10. It's at short range, so there's no minus modifier. And Herringbone gets to use his deed die because he's a fighter, so he gets a d4 at level 2. So he's going to declare a mighty deed of arms. He wants to get the thing right between the eyes. So hopefully killing it stone dead if we manage to pull that off, and if we manage to hit it at all. So we're aiming for an armour class of 10. 18 and a 3. Now there's a specific rule for that, precision shot. We rolled a 3, so the warrior can hit a small object that is nearby, either at melee range or very close range via missile fire. For example, he can hit a holy symbol displayed by a cleric, a banner flown by a cavalier nearby, or an ogre's tusk. A called shot here may do up to 1d4 points of additional damage. Judge's discretion. Yep, I'm going to go with that. So we get d4 extra damage on this Krokodilith. Now we take our deed die, that adds to our damage, and we roll. For our short bow we get 1d6 damage, plus the extra d4 which we earned from our deed die. The critical range for a level 2 fighter is 19 or 20. We rolled an 18, so that's fine. We didn't get a crit, but we did do our mighty deed of arms. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We shoot it right between the eyes and kill it stone dead. Now it's floating upside down. We dispatch the Krokodilith. Now we've just got to get to that tunnel. So you can see the difficulty level guide here. DC 5 are easy, pretty much. DC 10 is a good solid challenge. DC 15 are tasks of great daring do, such as leaping the gap between 2 city roofs, hurling a log at an oncoming bear, or grabbing a pouch lashed to the saddle of a galloping stallion. DC 20 tasks are heroes' work. Only the most superhuman characters attempt and succeed at these tasks. So I'm going to give it 10 because we're just trying to swim across to this tunnel here and not drown. So it's going to be a strength check against 10. They're both quite strong characters actually. So I think Herringbone will go first because he's got more hit points left at the moment. So we're going through a 10, 19 plus 1 for our strength is 20. He manages to swim across to the tunnel. Now, do I want to risk Pinball with his 2 remaining hit points? The answer is no, I don't. So Herringbone is going to go into this chamber, swimming through the underground tunnel alone to find himself in the place where the eggs are. And wouldn't you know it, there's another Krokodilith guarding the eggs. So Herringbone is... They are both sort of surprised, I think. Because they wouldn't really have known that each other would be there. So I think Herringbone is going to raise his short bow and try and do exactly what he did to the other one. We're looking for a 10, which is the armor class. We get our deed die. We don't pull off our mighty deed, but we do get a 12 and hit. But we still take the 2 damage, and we take the d6 for the short bow. I think that's right. Yeah, it is. Okay. 3, 4, 5. That does not quite kill it. That's a worry. So the Krokodilith will get to attack, and we do not want to be hit by it, because we do not want to catch any ghastly diseases. Now, it does get a -3 to its attack, and Herringbone does have an armor class of 14. So dealing with this -3, that's a 10. That is not enough. It snaps at him, but it does not hit him. Now he's going to have to put away his short bow, or crossbow rather, short bow, and draw his sword, and I think that's going to take an action. So as Herringbone draws his sword, the Krokodilith will get another attack with a -3. That is a 12 in total. So, just managed to miss, thank goodness. And now we have our sword, and we're going to do some damage. But not with that. That's a 4 and a 1. The Krokodilith gets another attack. -3, that's fine. And now we're going to go with our spear again. We get +1 actually for our strength. I should mention that. Right. 7 total. That's terrible. I think I might need some help. Krokodilith attacks and fortunately misses. I think our wizard is getting a bit concerned, so he is going to roll and cast Spider Climb again to try and climb over the water, over the ceiling, weirdly. And I don't believe we rolled for a manifestation last time to find out how the thing happens, so how the spell works. So rolling, that's of no use. 2. The caster's hands and feet ooze sticky goo. Okay, that's how it works. He will use Spellburn again and lose a couple more points of personality, I think. So we're getting +4 total. 19, 20, 21, 22. The caster gains the actual climbing ability of a spider, even when using gloves and shoes, and when carrying objects in his hands. He can hang upside down, climb completely vertical surfaces with no handholds, move across spiders' webs, and even scurry along upside down at obtuse angles. The caster moves at his normal speed, need never make climb checks, and is immune to spiderweb spells. So, That is an excellent casting by Pimble. He goes to the wall, climbs up, across the ceiling, down into the tunnel, and finds his way through. That's his action, sort of. So let's say he's on his way now. Now, what is Herringbone going to do? He is going to try to fight the Krokodilith one more time. Okay, I'll use the ordinary d4, but I can't find the other one. There it is. I'm always losing this one, not recognising it. Right, we're getting a +1. 19, 20 total. Well, 21. So we managed to hit. We get our D die added to our damage, and the longsword does 1d8. +1 for our strength, +1 for our D die. 7, 8. That kills it. So as Pimble arrives, Herringbone is just sticking his sword into the Krokodilith for the final time. Now, they're going to have to get back now, aren't they? And Pimble might drown trying, or cast spider climb again. So Herringbone goes to the eggs, destroys them, in order to find the amulet, which is actually hidden under one of the eggs. So we've got the amulet. Now we just need to get out alive. Herringbone will take the amulet because he's more likely to survive. I'll call it the usual 10 difficulty check. He gets +1 for his strength, trying to swim across. Aiming for a 10. That's it. So Herringbone swims across. Do we have any rope? No. No, we don't. So, come on, Pimble. He gets +2 to his strength, trying to get a 10. Just. He manages to swim across and survives. Now, we have to find our way back to the entrance of the temple. So Pimble is going to try and avoid this tempestuous weather again by using Spider Climb. He'll just add 2. He's not going to destroy any more of his stats. So let's see what happens. 17, 18, 19. That sounds good. Cast Canes is the actual ability of a spider. As long as his hands and feet are bare, he'll take his shoes off and make his way across, staying above the weather, as I'm ruling it. Now we need a 10 from Herringbone to escape. He gets no modifier to his agility, so we're looking for a 10. 12, that's fine. Does he get hit or damaged by any debris? 17, no. 18 with his strength. He manages to avoid any damage. We escape the temple with the amulet that Pimble's tutor thought was so important that he'd put their lives at risk. So that was a short adventure with just a little bit of Dungeon Crawl Classics magic. I will read through the Hounds of the what is it called? Hounds of something. Halthrag Keep. Hounds of Halthrag Keep. I shall read through that and play it a few times and let you know about that at some point. So, thank you very much for watching, and salut!